Cool. So thanks for agreeing to chat to us today. Should we start off by, do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to at the minute?
Yeah, sure, Jocelyn. So I'm an energy engineer by degree and also a qualified carpenter by completing an apprenticeship. So I've been in the industry about uh, 10 years, 11 years now in one form or another in domestic construction mostly. And the last 5, 6 years I've been working as a renewable energy consultant. So helping people do a variety of things on their home mostly around renewables, but also a little bit around fabric as well, which I'm hoping to get into a bit more. And at the moment, I am currently renovating a property. It literally painted the walls last night. So I'm in the midst of a deep energy renovation and just writing a little bit about it online, enjoying the process. And getting a lot of nice feedback, talking with people in industry. So right in the midst of it for my sins.
Oh, that sounds really exciting. Rather than you than me, when I moved house, I discovered that I was not suitable for renovation at all. So props to you there. So where did you first hear about Homely and what stood out to you about it?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I think the first time I heard Homely mentioned was in a podcast or an episode with Carlos and Heat Geek. It might have been feels like a long time ago. It might only be like a year and a half ago or so. And I listened to that with real interest. And from there then started learning a bit more about the product. Then I started speaking with you guys at Homely, especially the technical side of things. Naturally, we're all a little bit skeptical, I think, in the industry because we really want to do what's right for the consumer. So we have a learning curve first of all, and I thought you guys were great. Every time I rang you or sent you a note, Homely would come back or whoever would come back in your team and just say, yeah, this is what we do here. Here's an example. We've tried it. We've tested it. And I think that's the first time I heard about Homely. So then I started proposing it to customers, people who were doing deep energy retrofit projects, mostly single zone. I know there was talks of 2-zone way back when, but mostly people who were doing big open loops, big open plans, were comfortable at kind of the same temperatures or not too much variance in temperatures. And then introduced it to, I think, 4 customers who all fitted it in one form or another, got great feedback. They were too hot initially, which is always quite a nice thing. And then also spoke to 3 different engineers, and they were all like, yeah, it took a little bit to get used to, but now it's an incredibly fast commissioning tool. So from 2 sides of the coin, it was really positive. The most important people, the consumer, and then also the installer's direction. So, and then when I ring up technical, I get a response straight away. It's fantastic. So then, went and decided, right, I'm going to be really keen to test this out in my own home so I can get some data on it. And that's kind of been my introduction to Homely and the products.
That's amazing. That's just what we like to hear. And you kind of started touching on my next question, really, which is what made you decide to install a heat pump and why did you choose Homely to go alongside it?
Yeah, well, I mean, put your money where your mouth is, right? I mean, I've been working in the industry for, approaching 6 years now, fitting heat pumps for people. So I suppose not an early adopter, but definitely, went in at the time when there was less knowledge than there is today. The technology worked straight away. We was doing quite a variety of work of, completely different natures, brand new builds, passive house development, right down to very complex grade 2 listed houses. So I decided to fit a heat pump when I could afford one, really. It took a while to save for, as they do. And I always wanted to fit one in my house, but just was never in the right circumstance. And then finally, after, 5, 6 years, we found a property that we wanted to spend a long time in. And the very first thing I did was install a heat pump in our place. Yeah.
Brilliant. And what's been the best thing for you so far about living with a heat pump?
Yeah, so the best thing, I suppose, is the overall comfort. I knew this was to be true, but experiencing it is another thing. And even Well, I'm really interested when people come into the house, and I don't ask them, that they want a cup of tea. I always wait and think, well, what temperature do you think it is, as a laugh? So it's always the same temperature, pretty much, unless we adjust it by half a degree or so. It is the whole house is literally 19 degrees right now. It's incredibly comfortable. I knew heat pumps did this, and I've been in houses where there's heat pumps and small commercial buildings with heat pumps, and I know and knew the feeling was good. But of course, it's just when you live with one day and night, you've got a unit in your garden, that you really experience one. And I wish I did it in my very first year of working in the industry, because the learning that I got from those 50 days of, literally end to end and changing my tariff, was a massive. I thought I knew a lot about, heat pumps and technologies, and then I fitted one, and I feel like that it's been really beneficial. But overall, I suppose, to answer your question, it's just the level of comfort, the ease of having enough hot water, and your ability to just adjust your comfort with minor increments is a pleasure, really. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so refreshing to hear as well, when you see some of the discourse around heat pumps online, usually from people who have never lived with one.
Yeah, well, that's one side of it. I think it's really difficult, isn't it? Because when you work in the industry, you're positive, you're optimistic, and then every day of the week there's a new article or a new story, and it's a sincere story. People in dire straits because they fitted a heat pump and it wasn't done appropriately. So that's what I want to do. I want to bring people to my home who are naturally skeptical because they read it in the paper or in media that heat pumps don't work. They go online, they hear genuine stories of how it doesn't work. So I'm going to hopefully go on the Nesta program this year, where you bring people to your home, just walk them through all the parts, components. Like, we did a very complex installation, I would say, where we moved all of the electrics and plumbing around the house to a different location. So relatively tricky job, and just show people that once heat pumps are done right, they're an unbelievable technology that save you money against mains gas, all of the other options you have out there. So I'm really kind of excited to just do that now. Now that I have a lived experience, I have a little bit of data, not a full year yet, but I'm excited. I'm feeling very positive after nearly 8 months that it's looking really strong. And I just kind of want to celebrate that, really, with as many people as possible, and show them that, it can absolutely be the way to go.
That sounds fantastic. And next, I was wondering, have you noticed any changes in how you use energy or your energy usage in general since installing Homely and your heat pump?
Yeah, absolutely. I've become really conscious of, our whole house now, and from moving in, we took the gas out, we went completely electric. So you do become more aware of what you're spending. My installer suggested installing a separate kilowatt-hour generation meter just for the heat pump, so we would know exactly, separate to the controller, so we would know exactly how much the heat pump was pulling for heating and hot water, measured in kilowatt-hours, separate to the house and our full energy bill. So I did that, and most installs you can do that. It's very, very simple. But what it's done now is, I can break down exactly how much I'm spending on heating and hot water, and then on the other electric items in my house, I can, work on them separately. So 100%, it's almost like an immediate effect. You become quite conscious of your energy bill because you only have one, and it just says electricity on it. So absolutely, I would say that's been a pleasure. And also, because it is just one bill that says electricity, you're not overly thinking about it. You're just kind of fitting a good system and then just getting on with your life and thankfully knowing that it's working well. Yeah.
I'm very jealous that you don't have to worry about a gas bill anymore. Hopefully I'll get there soon.
No, I've lived with LPG, I've lived with gas. I grew up with oil and an open fireplace, so I know the other side of the coin.
Wow, you tried them all. Final question from me. What advice would you give to someone considering a heat pump or smart controller like Homely?
Yeah, people say go out and get 3, 5, 6, 7 quote, but actually I'm finding that there's a lot of knowledge available now on YouTube. So firstly, just take an evening to yourself, look up, a few available resources, read a couple of articles, try and avoid the negative ones if you can, but not fully. Just understand that is happening in the industry, and there are some incredible people throughout the whole country doing great work. In terms of going for like a specialist heat pump controller, I am an advocate now of doing so for two reasons. First, it's as a user experience, it's a real pleasure. I mean, I'm sincerely a customer of using a controller that works and ensuring that it's not just some gadget, some third-party controller that like is a nice to have. It's like I bring this up with pretty much everyone I speak to. I've got my own lived experience. I can adjust temperatures by a degree or two, and I don't need to worry about the technical side of it. I don't need to think about weather compensation. I don't need to think about the tariff. I don't need to overthink about my heating system. I don't want to. And I work in the industry. So that's not to say that heat pump controllers are brilliant, and the right ones out there are. And if you're interested in, flow rates and thermodynamics and how heat transfers, then go for it. My perspective now is just keep it simple. And a heat pump controller such as a Homely really does that super well. I'm an advocate for sure. I'm talking about it, like I said, to pretty much everyone I speak with. It has its instances where it might not be appropriate, but they're kind of few and far between. If you're going for an efficient system, it's a building that you want to have the whole space almost the same temperature, then I would really recommend going for it. Also, if you're someone who's not in your home the whole time, you can control this from anywhere in the world, literally to the decimal point of a degree. So that's a real pleasure, and I've used holiday mode a few times. You can just talk to the controller very simply, and that's it. If you just want a simple controller with your heat pump that's not overly technical, I'm a big believer, and it does exactly that.
Brilliant. That's all my questions really. So thank you so much for your time and telling us all about your experience with Homely.